I had a complete review of my life. I had a choice to come back, and I knew my mission was changing. I was no longer doing the business with my daughter. I was stepping up to share Stop the Bypass, and that meant starting over, LeAnn.
Hey, sales hunters, welcome to season 2 of Beyond the Business Plan, where heart meets hustle and every episode inspires you on your entrepreneurial journey. I'm LeAnn Lyon, and together we'll chart new courses, tackle challenges, and celebrate those big wins with expert guests, honest stories, and plenty of joy along the way. If you love the show, tap follow, subscribe, leave a quick review, or join our conversation with hashtag JoyMinder, because your support helps us reach and inspire more entrepreneurs. Set sail on your business adventure with Beyond the Business Plan. My guest today is an international best-selling author, global influencer, and a seasoned entrepreneur in the healing arts. Based in Southern California, Sandra Combe, that's C-O-M-B-E, has dedicated decades to holistic health as a board-certified natural wellness practitioner. Sandra is the founder of Stop the Bypass, a transformative book and movement, alongside her platform, which is called The Unmasked Experience and Living the Free Way. Her memoir is a profound exploration of the love we all deserve, an intimate reflection of overcoming major health challenges, including a near-death experience that redefined her perspective on life. And you can bet that's part of her entrepreneurial journey. For the past 3 years, she has embraced a deep healing journey guided by the philosophy of falling in love with living. Sandra, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, LeAnn.
Here she is. Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Good to see you. And what a profound journey this has been, even getting to know you before we got together here today.
Right. We had a great discovery call and good connection.
Yeah, I really believe that as well. And your journey is, first of all, everybody's journey is unique, completely unique. But wow, you had some hills and valleys, shall we say. But I'm going to start with a question. When you were young, did you ever see being an entrepreneur? Was that part of your journey, part of something that was seeded in you, or something you discovered later?
It was definitely something that I discovered later, but I started working when I was 15, 16 years old. So I was ready, to get out of the house and get a car. So I've always been driven about, getting out in the world.
Okay. What was your first job when you were 15, 16?
I worked for the credit bureau, in the days where they would, fill out an application and everything would be done over the phone. So that was my first introduction into, getting a job and showing devotion and loving what I'm doing. I always loved, quote, being a secretary.
Sure. Was that something that you imagined doing when you were a child, being a secretary?
We used to always play, we used to have the old fashioned days when you could pull the machines, that now everything's digital. And we used to do that, at my grandparents' house and have the desk and everything all set up. So I can't really say like I was born to be a nurse or anything particular. I just know I was born with a lot of energy and love social action with people.
Oh, well, there's that. And I do find, though, when I've talked to so many entrepreneurs over the years, and let me tell you just a real quick story. My start with talking with business owners actually goes back to the early 2000s when I worked for this little company you may know, but younger people don't, called the Yellow Book Yellow Pages.
Oh,
And I
real ones.
The real ones, right? And I was a sales rep. So my job was to walk into businesses, sometimes making appointments over the phone first, but oftentimes walking in cold, meeting a business owner, showing them the yellow pages, showing them where they fell there, and encouraging them to, take a bigger stand for what their dreams and their visions were. No, so literally, I've been talking to business owners about their dreams and everything for decades. But I've found that many of them, when they were little, played something that turned into what they wanted to do as adults. And you just proved it again. Because you played secretary and then that was your first type of career. So did you ever play anything though? Like, did you ever sell stuff when you were a kid?
No, I'm definitely not a seller. I have a lot of other talents, but sales is, although, in this new marketing world, when you have your own business and you have to wear a lot of hats, you gotta be able to try them all on.
For sure. So you became a secretary at first, working out there, and then what other careers have you held?
Well, when I was young, I held some careers that were more administrative, a little bit executive, technical. I loved technical. I got married young. I got married at 20 years old and had a baby at 23. So it wasn't until my husband, who played professional ball, retired, that I got to have the opportunity to find something that I loved. And I started temping all around. And I got with one of the major oil and gas companies, one of the major brands in town. And I worked with them for 31 years. I didn't work for anybody else.
Wow.
But it was a job that allowed me to be in the field. And because, in Santa Barbara County, there's 3 platforms and there's some onshore facilities. I got to go travel to the platforms. I got to go to the office. I got to go to headquarters. So it allowed me a lot of diversity within different realms of the job, but I stayed with one company for 1 year.
For 31 years, you said.
For 31 years, one company, correct.
Crazy. So what was your position? Did you have various positions over the 31 years then?
Right. Well, they only hired the top 10%. And I had been taking night school classes to get my bachelor's, to get my BA, and I hadn't finished it. So they made an agreement with me to finish my bachelor's. They always promoted continuous education. And you would start in different groups. Every 3 years, you would change to a new group. You could have been in the law group, then you'd go to the accounting group, then you'd go to the construction group. And that allowed you to be well-bred with all the different, job positions in such a large organization. So when I got my bachelor's, I took some time off and then I went back to get my MBA.
I got it. Okay. And then when you had your MBA again, you were able to move up in terms of what your responsibilities would be.
Correct. I say I climbed the corporate ladder, and I worked in a very male-dominated world, LeAnn.
Oh, yeah.
And back in those days, there was a bit of a glass ceiling, and seemingly as a woman, I did work harder to compete in a man's world.
Absolutely.
So you would go from the office that would be like a fashion show to the field where you'd be wearing boots and coveralls and safety stuff. So it gave me a lot of opportunity to work with a lot of people and expand my skills to the level that I wanted to.
Oh, good. So why not stay with it? Why not 32 years? Why not 40?
Well, it was actually at 20 years, LeAnn, that I had a massive heart attack. And I took about a year out of work. And during that year, I opened a Healing Arts Institute with my daughter to heal my own stress. We loved Louise Hay's Heal Your Own Life. So I opened my own business in town. I got my own permit to work out of my home. And then we got an office down the street. And we started having open houses, expanding, all our energy healing, biofeedback. And then we just learned my daughter's a different generation with me. Yeah. And she's not corporate where I'm very structured, very disciplined, very conditioned to be this professional when you're having your own business and you have to do everything and deal with all ages of people.
Absolutely. Wow. Working with family
Yeah.
can be a challenge. My husband and I had our manufacturing company together for many, many, many years. He also we bought that company from his mom, and he worked with her for many years. I was loosely involved with it for the first half of the company, and then I was the president for the second half of the company.
Wow.
And we raised our two children during all that time, bringing them into the office and, and teaching them kind of the ropes. We believed it was a legacy company. We thought this would be something we'd pass on. Well, sometimes we make plans and God laughs, but
But opens another door.
it opens another door. Absolutely. As they say, one of my favorite stories is about a young man who actually told his brothers that they would bow to him one day. He was a teenager when he said this. And they were like, yeah, and they didn't like it so much. So they sold him into slavery. This is a while ago, right? Well, he got picked up out of slavery and he rose to be like the top of the top in a rich man's home, running everything until the rich man's wife hit on him. When he wouldn't respond or wouldn't do, what she wanted, she accused him of, throwing him into prison. So here he is like, hey, I heard a voice saying my brothers are going to bow down to me. Well, in prison, he found out he actually had the ability to interpret dreams. And because of this, the Pharaoh of Egypt heard about him and it was having trouble with a dream that he'd heard. So he called this young man, his name is Joseph, out of prison into his castle or whatever they have in Egypt, and he correctly interpreted the dream. So then he believed in Joseph, and Joseph ended up being the top of the country of Egypt. That then went into a famine. The famine was part of what he foretold was going to happen. And wouldn't you know, his brothers ran out of food. And they came forward 40, 50 years later, literally not even knowing who he was, because they believed that he was dead, honestly. And they bowed down to him. And he saw that. He had the vision way back as a teenager. So sometimes we have visions, but how we get there, the point of the story.
Yeah.
How we get there. Sometimes we think it's going to be this way, and then we get knocked down.
Right.
And we think, it's going to be this way, and we get knocked down. But along the way, do you think a teenager would have been equipped to run Egypt? He had to run a household first, and then work his way up the corporate ladder, so to speak, in the palace. And so that's how entrepreneurship often is, I think.
Well, mine was definitely a parallel path. So I went back to corporate for 10 more years. So I ran my own healing arts business with my daughter. And, then she got married and started having kids. So, you go through those different phases and stages of life. And it was constantly adapting. Then I started going to wellness centers. Then I started becoming a speaker. Then I retired from corporate thinking this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to wellness centers. And then a few years after I retired, LeAnn, I had this near-death experience, and it changed the whole projection of my life.
Now, is the near-death experience, you mentioned a heart attack when we've talked. Is the heart attack and the near-death experience, are those
10 years apart? Right.
Hearts.
Yeah. I was 49 when I had my heart attack. 49.
Wow. So I'm just going to use this opportunity as a woman. We understand, or if we should know that women experience heart attacks differently than
yeah.
we do. Would you mind educating our audience quickly what that experience was for you?
Right. First, I'd have to say I had a 10-year perfect attendance record. Very proud of that. I got sick. I had the flu. I hadn't had the flu, in years. If I did, I just throw up in the trash can and continue working. That's just the person that I was. On day 5, LeAnn, I went to the hospital, totally drained, thinking I had anxiety, panic attack. My body ached. Everything ached, to find out that according to my blood enzymes, my cardio enzymes, I had had a heart attack 3 days ago.
Ooh.
So that put me on a start because, I was so weak. I hadn't slept. I was angry at myself. I kept thinking I could push through this. I do all this energy healing, but the next day I had an angiogram, and the next day I had a triple bypass. That's how fast it happened.
Wow. But the near-death experience was 10 years later. What happened there?
Yeah. Well, after I retired, I thought I worked so hard, I'm going to continue the rest of my life doing entrepreneurship, but I'm the type of person that wants every certification. I want to be able to offer people. I want to try new things. I started all these new sacred geometry, just a lot of fun things. I went to India. I went to Egypt. I went to Costa Rica. I went to every spiritual retreat, every wellness center. I ended up in June during the summer solstice in my daughter's pool. They thought I was meditating. I had fainted due to being dehydrated. That's how it started. I was talking about doing a wellness program on 8/8, for the Lions Gate. My daughter said, get in and get your new bathing suit wet. Cause sometimes you don't want to get it wet.
Yeah.
And I just was in the water. They sent my granddaughter. She poked me with her little pool noodle, and then the rescue began. So it was just something. I was underwater for 2 minutes, and I didn't have a pulse or breath for. The fire department came in 7 minutes, so it's recorded. My daughter's, doing the breath. My son-in-law's doing CPR. I have it recorded for 7 minutes with HR on the line. So it was a very traumatic moment, but I was in peace and bliss. And I woke up 3 days later from an induced coma. They thought, they had no idea what rehab I was going to need. I walked away 3 days later, a complete miracle, knowing that I was going to be doing this. I had a complete review of my life. This isn't the place for it, but I made energies from the other world. I had a choice to come back, and I knew my mission was changing. I was no longer doing the business with my daughter. I was stepping up to share Stop the Bypass. And that meant starting over, LeAnn, from that established. We had a website, we had insurance, we had everything. And I've started out with the same platform you're using, a digital marketing, learned to do everything the new way, learned about AI and all the tools out there. It's been amazing. So for the past, today is my 4-year anniversary from my near-death experience. I have to drink a coffee to that.
Well, I love coffee.
Yeah.
I love coffee. And actually with that, we're going to take a quick little break here.
Okay.
Maybe freshen up our cup of coffee, and we'll be right back. Listeners, we have so much more to dive in here. I've got some juicy questions coming up. So, hey, sales setters, do you need energy without the crash? Check out the lifestyle section in our resources on joyminder.com/resources for delicious, healthier coffee alternatives to boost your focus and fuel your hustle. Skip the jitters. Love your brew. You can also go directly to whyilovemycoffee.com, and I'll see you there. And we're back, and now we have glasses. I'm a glasses person. Oh, so podcasters, you might want to pop over. We have the same show available on YouTube, so come on over and check out our cute glasses now. I'm a glasses girl. You too, Sandra?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
only at the computer.
Only at the computer. Okay. Well, I'm here with Sandra Combe. She's the author of a new book called Stop the Bypass, right?
Yes. Yes.
Stop the Bypass. Although there's a play on words in there. So let's dive into what is the play on words, and really, why did you name your book that?
Well, it's been interesting. We touched briefly that when I was climbing that corporate ladder and totally stressed out with life, I had that massive heart attack. And after a year, I came back to work, and it was really important for me to take accountability for my own health. And that's why I opened that Healing Arts Center. Then when I had the near-death experience, part of the teachings that I've learned on this wheel of life was reviewing your life. I know that I had a life review, and then I knew I was here to physically return. I was given a choice and to do that life review. And I kept getting, you'll be living it as soon as you stop the bypass. So after I had that near-death experience and I knew that I came back for a reason, I started to, be still. I have a chair in the backyard. I call it my be still chair. And whenever I'm there, I feel like I can hear the whispers of the universe. And it was me to stop bypassing my life. And I looked at every pivot point, at every person. I applied everything I ever learned: mindfulness, meditation, breath work, all that stuff I've been doing all those years. And I started writing the book. I thought it would be self-therapy, self-analysis. And then I realized how beneficial it could be for others. So it remained Stop the Bypass. And then I had to find a way to kind of integrate, I have an actual heart bypass too.
Wow, you've had quite the journey then. And so to be clear, you said you basically overlapped your wellness business with the corporate business for 11 years. How many hours a week were you working?
I was probably working in the office 50 hours a week. And then I'd be going to, well, I called it my library. That was my little Healing Arts Center. And then every weekend also. So it became my little kingdom of heaven. It would be where I could get my sacred space and get away from all the chaos of the corporate.
But your wellness space and you said your daughter was working on that with you?
Right. But there was a point when she got married and had kids, and I continued to keep it, for myself.
Okay. So is this a place where you would have clients coming to you?
Yes, definitely. We'd have clients. We'd have open houses. We did a lot of stuff with children. My daughter got to do a little bit of a different educational series than I did, Rainbow Children. She ended up raising them. So I think she was thankful she went in that direction. But we then closed down that little office, and now all our work is done online with Zoom when the pandemic hit.
Okay. And who are you?
Although I do
Go ahead.
do some I also do some client work at my home.
Okay. So who are you working with today? What is your ideal client that you've determined for the moment?
Well, most of the clients that I see are by referral, because when I started Stop the Bypass, I'm still finishing the aspects of the book and the marketing. So it took me away from the day-to-day of healing. We're 3 generations of Reiki masters. We have a lot of different credentials, so to speak. So at this point in my life, Kindred Spirits is kind of what my daughter's doing. And then I'm doing Stop the Bypass and just getting ready to start the audio too.
Excellent. So much. So let's talk a little bit more about the entrepreneurship part of this. What do you wish you'd known maybe before you jumped into entrepreneurship?
You know what? We spent a lot of time on advertising. We went into the magazines, to actually pay for all that. And then like to have our website developed, we had all those people that knew Wix and could do the blogs. And now we do everything ourselves. So I think back then it was, just learning the relationship of working for somebody else and have it at the quality that you want it to be.
Okay. What were you surprised about with regards to being an entrepreneur, with having your own business versus working for somebody else, where they're telling you what to do? Now it's your thing. What was your biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise was just the constant amount of expenses. When I worked at corporate, everything was perfect. If I needed to talk to an accountant, now you have to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I have learned to do everything. And I am grateful that I am not working full time, but I still actively involved in some of the energy healing work. But, the greatest part of my time now, I still work 50 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
I work different hours. I get my insight at midnight. I don't usually go to bed till 2 in the morning. So that's when it seems to flow.
Yeah, there you go. Have there been any really big challenges with being an entrepreneur, keeping the doors open, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that I really miss the personal touch, and working with people. This remote Zoom to Zoom thing, energetically wise, I really believe that it is effective, but I just still missed after the pandemic, people still coming together. Because that was the net, not just the networking, but yeah, there was some personal love there.
Yeah, I hear you. I was both amazed and dismayed by how much you could get out of a Zoom.
Yep.
Definitely things have shifted dramatically as a result of the pandemic and all going on Zoom. Just had that conversation this morning at a book club. Like, why didn't I buy stock? I was using Zoom before 2020, knew it was a great tool. Never occurred to me that it would become a critical tool.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Like the new lifeline, and just like right now when that Wi-Fi went unstable a bit, you got to leave it to technology too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, indeed. So when it comes again back to entrepreneurship and hindsight, um, what have you done to stay innovative? To keep things
Yeah,
not like
that's a
maybe
that.
the experts. How do you keep up?
Well, about 5 years ago, was right before I had my NDE, is we decided to rebrand. We went with new colors, we got new pictures, which was nice. We're going to start doing a gallery. So we've tried to adapt to the change. And then we put some cute little digital artwork in it, had it done. I learned how to do it, all non-royalty free. And I know we'll be using those in the future, but I'd say that's the way that kept us fresh, going to these meetings and, learning to talk to people, to even read their body language if they're interested in continuing the conversation.
All valid for sure. Well, we're going to dive into a couple more questions here, but I know people are probably thinking, wait, she had a near-death experience.
Yep.
I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you experienced in your near-death experience?
Yeah, I'd giggle because my editor would say this would be the point to say you can pre-order the book, but I would say that I was most impressed, like I said, the last wellness workshop that I got paid to be a speaker at, and ended up living with them for 10 days. They asked so many questions that on the way home, which was 12 hours in the plane, is I wrote a new chapter and it's going to be called Other Voices. And it's going to be appendix beyond the memoir. And it was every question they asked me about NDE.
Mm.
And, we had just a quick little backup is it was a right summer solstice day, playing with grandkids in the pool. Daughter went barbecue on. They made me go in to get my bathing suit wet. They thought I was meditating for 2 minutes.
On the
And,
bottom pool.
well, I was actually just kind of laid over my granddaughter was in the deep end of the pool. I was more just kind of just like bent over, but my feet were tethered. But when she hit me with her pool noodle, my feet came up backwards. Then they knew I was in trouble.
Oh.
So my daughter had gone upstairs. She ran downstairs. She walked on water to get me, helped pull me out. It was the 911 folks that made such a difference, LeAnn. They told you what to do. Pump, breathe, put the phone here. Don't be panicked. Is she breathing? Is she vomiting? I mean, they really worked with them until 2 fire departments did come. I think the worst scenario possible was that my bathing suit did get cut off because they tried to intubate me and my grandkids were there. So they were extra traumatized, but went to the hospital, went on a ventilator, all standard procedure, had to have my stomach pumped because, I had intaked chlorine and salt water. And between that time and the 3 days that I woke up on the ventilator, I mean, I had some amazing dreams, experiences, trauma, medication, what you want to say it. I mean, I did talk to energies. I later called them the original ones,
Oh.
but they came to me like those honorable judges. Everything seemed fuzzy. Everything seemed loud. There were a lot of talking, like I couldn't really hear individual people. I felt like some unbelievable love, like this compassion, and that it would be better served for myself to return. So there was a lot of other religious and spiritual things involved, because I love all religions and all cultures. And I think I got to experience everything that I'd been studying. I studied death and dying for 30 years because my sister committed suicide.
Oh.
So I knew what to do, and I believe it to be the biggest mystery of life.
Oh.
So it's so interesting, right?
Yeah.
That I experienced it. But then when it came back and everybody thought I'd be teaching about death and dying, what I ended up doing is teaching people how to live. That we got so busy making that living, we forgot how to live. We forgot to love life. I mean, I had to go back and look at every role I played, and whose life are you living? And I'd say the biggest joy that I got was learning to live life on my own terms.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, no matter how you look at that, I mean, we're alive right here, right now. This moment is the only one we have.
Yeah.
We could maybe not finish this episode. Obviously, if people are listening to it, we did finish the episode, but we're not guaranteed one moment in front of the one we're in. Yeah. And I love the phrase. I actually shared this with somebody. I was with somebody who had just had surgery. I went to go pick up the medication. I'm standing in line. The gentleman in front of me looked kind of discombobulated. And I just said, you know what? Sometimes it's good to remember that this moment is a gift, and that's why it's called the present. And he said, I've never heard that before. And I thought, yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one to remember that this moment that we're in is always a gift. And it's the only one we have. We can make all of our plans for the future. We can set out all of our goals. My husband and I have a big vision for our business, including that we're going to take it on to a boat.
Oh, we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go onto a boat. I'll keep running Joyminder Solutions and keep doing my podcast and grow the business while we do a 7,000-mile boat journey. Now, what could go wrong? Well, let's just talk about,
Yeah, why Wi-Fi?
We've interviewed people. In fact, one of my guests on the show, either before or after, whichever episode, if she's been on, you can look up the name Martha and find her episode. Maybe it's still coming though. And she actually completed the very same loop that my husband and I plan to do. And fewer people have done that in the world than have climbed Mount Everest.
Wow.
And yet that's our goal. But absolutely, we talked about the fact that what you start and how it goes is way different than you imagine. And that's true for entrepreneurship as well. I do want to share just a quick story from my daughter. We love boating. We've always been boating. We took our kids boating. She was injured in the river, in the Mississippi River, not the cleanest river in the world, and needed to be emergency, gone into surgery and so forth. When she came out of surgery, though, and this is, as a mother, my heart is just breaking right now. She's fine now, and she's a beautiful, lovely young adult, but she was a child. And she came out of surgery, her eyes barely opening, and she said, Mama, there was a man. And he looked at me and he said, I love you, Malin. And then he told me I needed to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And she, and just the way I have the video actually, because we were videotaping her as she woke up. We have the video of that. But just that precious moment of her knowing that she was loved. Like you said, just the amazing amount of love, and for her being sent back. She had more stuff to do in this world, in this lifetime. So I want to say thank you for sharing your story. I know entrepreneurship, like we said, is kind of a journey.
Yeah. And even with this, time of my life when I'd be living happily ever after, traveling. Um, it's it's a great opportunity to learn all the new technology and the people that come along the way. So I'd have to say that's the blessing, and thank you, for having me on your show. And I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, and it is it's touch and go a lot. And it's having that faith it, like fake it until you make it too, because sometimes I wonder why, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And yeah, now I just look to see what God wants me to do.
Love it. Well, I have one more question for you, but before we get there, and for our podcasters, you may wish to spell things here, but where can people best connect with you? Is there a website? Is it a social media? How can they find you and your book?
It would just be www.stopthebypass.com.
Okay.
Right. And, there's several different pages. There's a free gift. If you sign up, you'll get a prologue of the first book and through my daughter's eyes, it'll be our little promotional gift as a pre-launch. In a couple, if the stars align, boy, that moon last night, that was a lot of energy. As the stars align, then, the book's going to come forward. But between now and then, I'm fortunate. I rolled out a new program, self-discovery program after 3 years. I put together this new program. It really worked for me. And I am excited to share it with the world. So I'm looking to see how all that's going to play out. But, like you meet people, life changes, you have to be on your toes and pivot. I'd have to say, to be an entrepreneur, my God, you have to do it all.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my question. What's it with somebody that's like, not really sure, so a lot of people I'm talking to, a lot of people who listen here, maybe they've dabbled in entrepreneurship. Maybe they're like you for 11 years. They're doing two things at once. They haven't gone full time. 41% of Americans dream of having their own business, but 6 to 9% actually it's their full time, like what you're doing and what I'm doing. So what would you say to that 30-some%?
Well, I'd have to laugh, say, enjoy your day job, when they tease you that you're not good at anything else. Yeah, what I think for me is I learned to be a very heart-centered, work for myself. And, when you work for yourself, it's 7 days a week. I mean, you're always actively involved. My daughter doesn't have to work, but, she does it because she loves it. So yeah, for me, it's do what you love. And this idea about living is really just remembering that we're alive every single day, being grateful for every single day. I cannot tell you, it has opened the door for opportunity and growth. And I'm going to continue learning and talk with people like you, LeAnn, that, get me inspired and remember that I'm an entrepreneur, and, author's going to be on my hit list there. But for me, it's death's given me a new value of life. And it's given me an opportunity to learn all of this new stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It's so much fun to hang out and chat with you. And we'll keep in touch as right now, like you said, this episode may come out after your book. We're not sure when the stars will align, so to speak. But we will, have all the links below. Anybody listening to the podcast or find us on YouTube again, come check out this very vibrant, very fun lady. You'd like to check her out, and our cute glasses and our cute mugs. Here, hold up your mug. Here we go.
Mine matched.
Yep. And then I just want to say thank you, Sandra, for being here today. And go ahead.
Oh, I guess I know I already said thank you, but I love your style, and it being conversational, and we are really like having a coffee break. So I appreciate you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. And to our audience as well. Maybe you're having coffee, maybe you're not, but thank you for joining us on my show called Beyond the Business Plan, to unleash your joyful business potential. If you've heard something today, share this episode. I'm LeAnn Lyon.com. your Chief Joy Officer, signing off. Keep spreading the joy, keep leading with heart, and I will catch you on the next wave of success. Hey, sail setters, want to navigate your success with ease? Download the Sailing System, your practical guide to charting a course, setting goals, and growing with purpose. Find it now at joyminder.com or check the show notes below for your roadmap to results. Thank you for sailing with us, sail setters. Remember, your journey goes beyond the business plan. So keep charting your own course, leading with heart, and tuning in for more joy and inspiration. Find all the resources and connections in the show notes below, and your support means the world to us. So join our conversation at #JoyMinder or simply share your favorite takeaways in the comments section below. Until next time, set your sails for success.